Hey guys, going to talk about INVO. This was the main play. I was in here for MOTS, so I just played this. INVO, backside bounce play from its crazy run. Go zoom out. We all remember when a 500% move, crazy squeeze, and then pretty much faded right back to where it came from. A couple interesting things about this. They pulled it under 75 cents, so they not only triggered SSR, but they triggered the tight halt bands. So that's an important factor to know. This tight halt band manipulation has been pretty common. Another thing to know is a lot of times in the crazy runners, a lot of the crazy runners have crazy backside moves. We saw this with TPST. Um, we saw this with TPST here. Obviously, black swan move, pull back, and then you get a backside bounce that goes much higher than what people think it's going to go, and this ends up being the top of the bounce. It fades, does some backside stuff like we saw yesterday, but the key lesson is, previous runners, especially these like 500, 600, 1,000, 2,000% runners can have really insane backside moves. So I always consider that a bullish factor, right? That being said, I was thinking of shorting this candle in the pre-market. They were actually flashing bids to push this up, and then they actually pulled the bids. But the problem was my bookmap didn't show it because it turns out Thinkorswim bookmap does not have ARCA, which is an exchange. There's different exchanges that trade these stocks, and bookmap doesn't have all the exchange. Thinkorswim bookmap doesn't have all the exchanges. You have to get the standalone version, and you have to subscribe to two different market feeds. They all cost money. They're all separate from each other. So I actually saw them flashing a bid. They were flashing a decent sized bid to push us to this 135 level. As you see, they have this ask here, touches this ask, and then they actually pulled the bid and swiped it straight down, right? But I was telling my chat, I was telling my Discord, I was like, guys, strong markets, these deep pullbacks, like especially these straight down pullbacks right here. We saw this on the penny runners yesterday with JAN. We saw it with the other penny runner, INVS. Um, a lot of times in strong markets, deep down-only pullbacks from high 8A get attacked, right? They rotate it because, just like my bookmap video, I said there's a lot of empty orders up here, and they start throwing bids up to initiate the squeeze. So in my Discord, I was like, this is a possibility. This could be a strong backside bounce play, right? And what happens at the support? They start throwing up bids, right? Throwing up bids, throwing up bids. But I didn't have the read down here to go long. I just noticed the bids. I'm like, okay, noticed the bids. And I was like, well, guys, if you want to short this, you really have to wait for a rotation back towards highs, right? Get one of these aggressive rotations back above, 120. That's just a level right here, and then maybe higher, and let's see what happens. So we get the big initiation, and I'm starting to see on the pullback, I'm starting to see them stacking bids, and usually this is not a good thing. If if you're going to be shorting it, like kind of like my video on TAOP, if these aggressive moves are going to go straight down, what you want is you want aggressive moves that with ask either stacked up higher, um, and a lack of bid support. Now, I didn't see the bid support initially, but when it was kind of stalling here, I saw them start to throw up bids. It's not a good thing. You do not want to see stacking bid support. And look, these bids never get touched. They throw up even more bids on the rotation, and they actually pulled some, but they kept one here, and then it ended up squeezing high day, and up like so initiation. And I thought, this is a potential backside play, big potential backside play, as a potential to squeeze really high. We're zooming out, looking at the levels, and I was saying to my someone in my Discord, I was like, oh, 170s is kind of pain, and maybe they swipe these 170s levels. And he's like, what? Maybe it pushes in a 2 and 250. I was like, yeah, maybe 2. Like, there's a lot of empty space up here on the backside that they can kind of push into. But we got to remember that right here, there's a bunch of consolidation between 2 and 250. A lot of orders got traded there, so that's a key consolidation level. and we could get some type of very aggressive backside swipe, right? So after this made new highs, on really strong stocks and strong markets, I really don't like shorting in a high day in most situations. Only if I have a clean read, and we'll go over that at market open. Um, but when I start seeing the volume come in, right, the consistent volume come in, and new highs, um, just like PXMD, I tend to view that pre-market action as potentially bullish, and combining that with possible backside squeeze on key levels on the hourly. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to keep an open mind. Maybe it just hits resistance right away. Um, but I'm just going to wait for market open. I'm going to wait for the volume. A lot of times, if I think something's generally strong in the pre-market, I'll just wait for market open. Just like I'm not going to touch this. I'll just wait, see what happens. And market open, I took my first short on a pattern that I actually should have known better. This is a pattern that works in weak markets. It's the 930 high day clear out, which in my bookmap video I talked about. It's one of the few 930 shorts I will actually take. But I noticed that we go to 930 here. Oh, by the way, I meant to show you this. This is my chart. This is in my Discord. I actually posted in my Discord. Can I show you more of this chart? There we go. So here's a short. Can you see my cursor? Here's a short, and we'll show you. You can maybe pause the video if you want to see what the actual entries are, but I'm going to talk about it in the video here. Also, my Discord, I posted an explanation. I'll try doing this more for more of my trades, more of my entry charts, and more of my thinking. Here's pictures of the book map reads, stuff like that. So that's in my Discord. Information down below in the description if you want to figure out how to join it and want more information, that type of thing. There we go. Move this over. Go back to the chart on my screen. So at high day, I'm like, all right, they're kind of like, it's kind of flagging into the open, right? Have this like kind of like higher lows, lower highs. Let me just see what market open looks like. And I notice at market open, they start throwing up a bunch of bids. There's a bunch of bid support here. I was like, all right, cool. Like, I don't think it's gonna like. I think I noticed up into 140, which was high day. There's a lot of empty space. There's a lot of bids down here. I'm like, let me just wait, see what happens, and start squeezing. And then it swipes high day. I noticed the second it swipes high day, they start stacking a bunch of ask, and there's no bids following this up. There's bid support, over here, but there's no bid support over here. And I'm like, man, are we really going to get a 930 high day clear out? Like, I have not seen a 930 high day clear out in a bit. Let me just throw up my shares. And I got filled into 130. This was on SSR. I got filled into 139s. And then we got a down halt. I'm like, cool. Like, well, trade seems to be working. And then it does strong market stuff. I actually got out a little bit on this. I saw it go from 112s into the mid 120s. I decided to de-risk a little bit. But actually, I don't even know if that's a good idea. A lot of traders I know will just, having that type of thinking can eat into your gains. Like trying to overread every little candle if the trade is working type thing. So I actually kind of regret making that cover. And I noticed that I'm like, all right, this has very tight halt bands. This has very tight halt bands. This is a potential high day clear out short trap, which is a classic strong market pattern. You give a high day clear out, you make it look really weak, you bring it back up when no one's expecting it, and then you squeeze everybody, right? So when I saw the reclaim, I was like, man, I really want to keep my risk pretty tight on this because I knew the halt band was in the 140s, and high day was 145. I was like, all right, let me just see where the asks are stacked up here. I noticed it was a 140 ask. I was like, I'll just risk above 140. If 140 gets taken out, it's probably just going to squeeze the high day, and that's where I got stopped out. Now up here, I, in general, never short out of up halts. I think shorting out of up halts is a big risk, big reward type play. I rather have tight risk, big reward if possible. And the few times I do it, I don't do full size, and I tend to lose more than I win. So it's something I just tend to avoid. And then something really interesting happened here. So we got an up halt, and remember this is on SSR. We got an up halt, and then when it unhalted here, it instantly down halted, which actually kind of means that almost no shorts got in on this candle. It was almost an instantaneous dump, which can actually be bullish on rig stocks because out of the unhalt, shorts are going to be chasing, right? Shorts will chase out of the unhalt um, to get a good average, but because they think it's going to keep, obviously they're going to think it's bearish, right? Um, so this unhalt was really, really interesting, and this is my long. Did a long on this play, right? Uh, God, sorry. So this is the instant downhalt. So bookmap's a little iffy with the halt levels. There we go. So this is the unhalt. So this is the unhalt here. Um, yeah, here. Sorry, here, right here. So as you see, this soaked in the 150s and squeezed into a high day clear out, right? So what happened? It's unhalted. Shorts are getting their orders filled. Everyone's pretty much getting filled sub 175, sub 170, right? A lot of people are chasing. And I'm noticing rigor, just like my PXMD long, is stacking tons of bids in the 150s, right? And you can kind of tell on the order book, especially a little bit earlier, you can tell this number here. They're adding all of the bids together, so it's telling you how many orders are stacked down to 150, down to 149, and the same thing on the ask. It's showing you how many orders are stacked on the ask, and you could tell there's a huge imbalance. Um, After this downhaul and this pull into the 150s, there's thousands of shares being stacked on the bid, and there's, like I said, Thinkorswim is missing orders, so there's actually even more than 150,000 shares. And then the ask to the upside is very, very thin, right? So I'm noticing, I'm like, all right, what I kind of learned about these is I like to see them then test the bids. I'm like, all right, they have like bids at 160, 157, 153, 150, 149. Let me see them get tested. I saw the bids get filled here. I saw the big 150, 151 guy down here. And then I just see one single guy at 164 and nothing above it. So I'm like, all right, if I see any type of rotation, I'm going to start longing and I'm going to risk these bids in the 150. And my thesis was, of course, shorts are chasing after the downhaul. This is a rigged strong backside play. I think I'm not in short, so I don't have to worry about flipping, right? I actually think this price action is very bullish. Let me long in the 160s. I'll risk the bids. And then once I saw 165 get broken here, I was like, all right, there's very few orders. It stalled for a little bit. More bids start coming in at higher prices. Very, 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 very good. And we get our up halt, right? We get our up halt squeeze into the 180s. That's this squeeze here. And whenever I'm longing at the top like this, in general, I'm kind of just scalping the move. It's kind of like I was giving it a chance to possibly up halt a second time, but I pretty much just told myself, if this comes straight down towards the down halt level, which was at the time was at 178, I'm just gonna scale out of my long position and see what happens and possibly get ready for the short, right? So if you look at my Discord, here's my long in the 160s, risking those bids. Here's me selling into the up halt. And then let me go back to, sorry, I'm like switching. So we get the pullback, right? And kind of like, usually my general rule out of down halts like this is I never short the bounces out of the down halt. I usually like to wait for some type of structure. Usually it's best if the down halt bounce gets swiped. I like it when down halt bounces get reclaimed later, right? But I did throw up a starter position. I'll show you why. We got this down halt. Actually, this didn't down halt. I think it almost down halted. We got this pullback here to 150. Key retail support level. There were a bunch of bids at 150. Remember, from over here, there's bids at 150 here. Those bids held, and we get this kind of aggressive rotation off of support, which I can actually be quite bearish sometimes, considering the fact that this is like squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. This is like done like four squeezes. Stock can only squeeze so many times. The more something squeezes, the more bearish I get, especially the fact that this is running in the key consolidation levels from 2 weeks ago. I'm starting to form a more bearish bias. I'm out of my long, and I took one starter. It wasn't really A plus. I was telling my Discord, I'm like, man, I would really like. Sorry, these are the halts. I would really like here. I would really like 180s, right? Because 180 was the low of. So here's those bids. Bids at 150 starts rotating up, and I noticed that they're putting this ask at 170, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. We zoom in a little bit. So this on the chart is right here. There's a big ask at 170, and then I noticed that they pulled the ask, and I'm like, oh, maybe they're going to rotate it towards this 175 level, and then something like 70,000 shares went through a hidden seller at 170 and pulled back, and then I took it, and then I saw the ask free stack, so I put a starter here, but it wasn't really the trade I wanted. It was just like an aggressive push into a hidden seller. I thought, okay, maybe it just rolls over. Let me just throw only 30% of my position up, and it was in like the high 160s at 170, and then we start getting a very painted flag. It didn't go down. I'm starting to notice very clean higher lows, very clean lower highs, right? And what we learn in low floats is the real longs look like this. This is a long, this is a long. These like hyper aggressive trappy moves. Most of the time, especially if a stock is squeezed 2, 3, 4, 5 times, if you start to get the cleanest flag you ever seen in your life, I just consider this a painted retail long trap, right? And we get the classic technicals on this push. So what do we get, right? Volume starts getting real low. We start getting these like 40,000, 60,000, 80,000 share candles. And keep in mind, this just traded like 2 million shares a minute. So now we're getting like low, low, low volume. And then we get the bullish initiation, which is the best long traps always have this like high relative volume push, right? Where something goes from 80,000 shares to 600,000 shares to 1 million. We saw this on TPST yesterday, which is also a fake 5-minute flag, and INVO here. So I'm like, all right, we have this 179, 180 level. We have this painted retail flag. I'm already super bearish this. Let's see what the book map looks like. And, I noticed they're stacking the ask a little bit. So here's the flag. We're not there yet. So here's the initiation, right? So I'm like, oh, they have some ask stacked at 170, 173, 175. Let's see what happens with that. They actually pulled those ask, initiated it to the level I actually wanted, and then you see, as soon as it breaks 179, 180, a bunch of asks come in with thin bids. And the moment this happened, I just started slapping everything I had in the 180s, right? I'm just trying to on Trade Zero, you can market order SSR stocks, and it'll put your order on the ask to try to get filled. Sometimes you get mid fills, and I got filled. There are no bids. It pulls, and then I'm just super bearish. I'm super bearish. I think it's going to deep fade. I took one cover at the 1 minute 200, and I've been holding the rest. It is currently at 122 as I record this. But yeah, this is a clean book map read, clean long trap. And not only were there ass stacked here, but I also had some more orders at 188 and 190. So I had even more resistance that I could risk off of, right? But in the end, when I was getting short, and look how much time you have here. We zoom in. This is 10:05:09. Oh, so this is Central Time. 11:05:09 to 11:05:35. So you have 30 seconds here. You have almost like 25, 30 seconds to react to the lack of bids, to the ass being stacked. And yeah, unsurprisingly, we get a pull into a down halt, right? So clean, fake, 5-minute flag, super painted. Um, really what you want to see. It's really, really, really good, especially that it's running into previous consolidation and it already squeezed shorts multiple times on the way up. And yeah, so some nice reads, good chart, and we're doing it's doing standard backside stuff. Swiping backside, pulling, swiping backside, pulling, just your standard fading technicals on a low float stock. And yeah, that's INVO. I'm kind of angry I missed MOTS and went. What's so funny about INVO is you have to like what I call you have to like big brain your entries. You have to have like really on the strong stocks you need like really good reads, not get squeezed, tons of volume, tons of manipulation, and then you just get like this, and it's like a a low flow pop that instantly. This one actually a little bonus. I won't make a video on MOTS, but a little bonus MOTS book map. Um, let's go to pre-market. This also had a pretty clean read, and this is something I talked about in the book map video. So here's your initial pop, right? Pre-market pop. You already see the ass being stacked at high days. And they do a thing where on the pullback here, they start throwing up some bids. Here are the bids. That's why this doesn't go down here. They're throwing up bids in the 540s, in the 550s, in the 560s. They're throwing up bids, and then when it actually does its push, this final push above $6, $6.10, you'll see that pretty much the bid support starts to disappear. There's very little bids, and they start stacking the ask right here. Super bearish. They pull it, goes through all the bids, and the rest is history. It just went down only. So standard low float pre-market pump that has no real liquidity. They're just abusing the pre-market to swipe some levels on the backside, and yeah, down only, very nice. So I missed it. So I'm over here trying to, trying to do this stuff on on INVO. You know what I mean? Like these types of trades. So, yep, that's that video. If you want more information about the disc, the Discord, it's in the description down below. I'll try posting more of these in the future. Kind of give an explanation of what the trade was. And yeah, hope that was informative. And yeah, you guys have a good one. See ya.